sea drafts. We got on a sea draft to go to the West Coast. Some guys went to Florida. We were going to small craft training at Terminal Island, California. So we got on a train in Sampson, New York, and it was a civilian Pullman train. I mean, boy, oh boy, I talk about luxury living. And of course, they didn't have to wear a uniform. We all wore jeans, you know, our dungarees. And this was walk in a dining car and have a guy. I mean, this was. We would pull into a station after so many hours. We'd pull into a train yard, and they'd be refueling, or they'd be getting another engine or something. And we'd see these other trains parked next to us were boxcars, who were soldiers and Marines.
Right.
And their cars, they were in boxcars, and they had bunks. And they were getting out, and they had them training, watching and drilling. Christ, we'd get into a town and say, okay guys, we're not going to leave for 3 hours. You're on your own. And Christ, we went through the towns, I mean, picking up stuff. Some guys would pick up something to drink if they could, if the town was slow. And some guys just came back in, and the train was candy and so on and so forth, and whatever they could pick up. And it was just like a wild thing.
Right.
And we just thought we were living the life of Riley, but it was a neat train ride. So we went all the way out to California, and to Terminal Island, and that was for small craft training, and we thought that was great. But the neat part was there was a thing called the Pacific Electric, the PE train. It was a red train. It used to run from Long Beach up to LA, and weekends we used to get 3 out of 4 weekends. So we could get Friday afternoon, we could hop to PE and go up to LA. And then first couple of times we went up, you learned that the Hollywood High School servicemen, if you checked in on Friday night and Saturday night, you'd pay a quarter or 50 cents, and you'd have breakfast the next morning. But they had cots. It was a big. They'd have cots in the gym. You'd check in for 50 cents, man. If you lived, and we were in Hollywood. I mean, it's just great. The Hollywood Canteen, the USO Canteen, we called it the Holy Rollers Canteen. All of them were within 2.5 blocks. The Holy Rollers was a thing run by the Salvation Army guys or something like that. And you'd go in there, and they would always have a little sermon, and then they'd give you coffee, tea, and they always had women in there with sew buttons on your pea jacket or press your uniform or something like that. And then the USO canteen, that was a different canteen. That was all these young Hollywood starlets who were always hanging around there serving you stuff, and they could have music sometimes.
That's pretty good for an 18-year-old guy,
That
right?
was fantastic. And then the Hollywood canteen was a block away. Now that one you had to get in line. That was a tough one. They had a big wooden fence around the outside of it. And they would have a posting every day of all the movie stars are going to be there. So anyway, you'd have to get, if you wanted to get there, you'd try to get there early, do that one first and do the other ones. Because once they got you inside there, they'd give you hot dogs, hamburgers, and sodas and Cokes, and then they'd play music. And they could dance a little bit then, and then they'd have a show, and then they'd do all these shows. I mean, I saw everybody you can imagine. I guess the best ones probably were Jimmy Durante and things like that. He'd come out and play, actually funny. I mean, he'd put a show on, and play the drums and throw the drums away and throw this away, the whole act that you ever saw. And then they would always have a thing, and you may have heard this story from Kathy, they always have a thing that, whose birthday is it today, and whoever to be the fancy Hollywood star. And you could look up, there was a little booth in the back of the glass there, and you could see who was coming in at that show. And June Allison was one of them. So when I said birthdays, Jess Barker, who was then married to Susan Hayward, a real son of a bitch he was, he was an MC, and he said, okay, birthday guys, all the guys get up here for birthdays. So everybody jumped up. So I saw June Allison was going to be this, I jumped up there. Well, then he checks, you know, and June Allison goes, oh, boys, he gives you a big hug kiss. So my guys, our guys used to travel, there was 5 or 6 of us, always from Sampson, New York, so we always traveled in a group. And you get down the line and they say, check his ID, check his ID. This is it.
There was your chance, and they
I was like, here we are, November, I guess it was. And the guy says, let me see your ID. I said, what do you mean? I didn't check theirs. Why, let me see it. August, what the hell, don't you? So anyway, about 5 or 6 years ago, Kathy, when she was still, more than that, I guess, because Kathy was still working for the ad company. which one was it, one she was working for. June Allison was one of the people that she dealt with in public advertising. And so I got a picture, June Allison. I'm sorry I missed the kiss or something, of June Allison before she died. She just died recently, the last couple of years. And anyway, Kathy told her the story, and she gave me an autographed picture.
Well,
but it was kind of
she made
funny.
good over time, I guess.
It really was just amazing. But anyway, those were the kind of things. And then, but then when I was talking to John Edward Nolan, when I was working, I lost track of him about 19, I guess we were at, years and years and years. And John we were so close friends, that that first Christmas, that was 1944, we were ready to get it out, because we put a ship in commission called the Norton Sound.
Mm-hmm.
We were called plank owners, and John was a plank owner. I didn't save all the stuff he did. And so we were in the Hollywood canteen, and they had an announcement that Christmas Eve, Christmas time, and we want a couple of sailors, Catholics, and so on and so forth, got someplace, somebody wants to pick you up for Christmas Eve.
Mm-hmm.
So John and I were there, and we were the only two in our group that were Catholics. So we went out, and there was some woman, the guy's name was Henry, and he had a 19-year-old daughter who was a freshman at UCLA, and he lived out in West Los Angeles, Beverly Hills area, and so he picked us up and welcomed us, and I had to bring her home Christmas Eve. We had dinner with him, and so I remembered her, and I remembered the fact that she was at UCLA and so on and so forth. And the next day we went to church, and in church was June Haver, and I'm talking about the other two people, and a guy named Tito Gazzar, who then was a movie star in B movies like Monogram, but he played a guitar. And in the church, in fact I'll think of the name of the church in a minute, the church, he was on the altar playing music at that time in 1944. That was the first one I ever seen that in church. And a neat little church, and it's still very exclusive. In fact, later on, a classmate of mine became a priest, and he started a movie company that made movies at the church. He was a Paulist priest, Paulist owned that parish, that's right. But anyway, we went to church with them, and we had a wonderful day. And she took us out to UCLA campus and told us all about it and so on. So, but I remembered all that. So John and I used to share some of those things. But many years, I kept touch with him for a while, and we lost track. And then years and years, 20 years I guess went by, and I was working at Sun Life, and one day I was thinking about these guys, and I thought, I wonder if John Edward is still up in New Ashford, New Hampshire. And one of the things we always got was each other's mail. If I was on a duty, he would take my mail, and he'd get my mail. We always remembered who our girlfriends were and what the addresses were. And I always remembered his address. His address was 127 Tolles Street in Nashville, New Hampshire. And her address was 34 Lock Street. So I called this, I went through the phone book, and Nolan, I said, gee, I got the information. I said, Nashville, New Hampshire, Nolan. John Edward Nolan. So they gave me a number. So I called this number up. And I was sitting in my office, well, I guess it was at 5 o'clock at night. I pick up the phone and call, and somebody answered the phone, hello, and I said, is this the home of John Edward Nolan? She said, yes it is, who's this? I said, well, this is an old friend. I think this is the right John Edward Nolan. Was your husband in the Marine, in the U.S. Navy? She said, yes he was. Won't you tell me who? I said, no, I'll put him on the phone. So he got on the phone. He said, who's this? I said, is this John Edward Nolan, lived at 127 Toll Street? He said, yes it is. I said, did that woman that answered the phone, did she used to live at 34 Lock Street? What? 34 Lock Street? I said, yeah. I mean, you mean they didn't marry her? Who the hell is this? He was blown away. I mean to tell you, it was the most exciting. And I said, this is John T. I said, I lost track of you. Oh my God. Well, we talked and talked.
So what year was this?
This was about, this must have been about 1970 something, 1970,
So it was in the
maybe
70s.
78 or 79, I guess.
Okay.
I've lost track of them from over 20 years. Well, the funny thing is, when I did that, he wrote a letter, and he saves things. He was in a moving and storage business. He had a moving and storage business in Nashville, New Hampshire, and he wrote a letter. And the funny thing is, after I talked to you, I see this thing here, and he sent this to me. Yeah, he sent this thing to me, and it's JT. It was such a surprise when you called me, how you remembered that. My mind, and he went down to thinking, and he decided to close some pictures and some events that we talked about. He also was amazed that I could remember all those things and who we stayed to Christmas with. But he put it down here, and he hasn't heard from many, but he said he should try to contact some Norton Sound shipmates and so on and so forth. But he looked up the Navy Registry and so on to get some names.
Right.
Then he sent me this thing, and he sent me some pictures that he took. And that he saved his pictures.
Right.
And so on the thing he put down, these are pictures he took. Now these were in Japan, Tokyo. You remember this now? These are pictures he took in Tokyo, Japan. He puts down here. These are some of our guys together. This is these are places they were. And Montgomery and a group of boots campers. Oh wait a minute, that must be this is the boot campers, I guess. But then let's see, page 3. I don't know if page 3.
What's the page 3?
Yeah. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, page 3, page 2. But let's see, page 1, page 2, page 3. Yeah, he kept a little.
So that's clearly in Japan.
Yeah, that's Japan. And here's this is probably page. This is 2. Oh, this is 1. But anyway, he separated them all and told us which of the guys. Oh wait a minute. Where's my phone? It's over there. Answer my phone. Turn that thing off because I know who this is.